who has also been a driving force behind this movement and a vocal opponent of the environmental impact that this is going to cause as well. So I'm going to hand things over to Daryl.
Okay, thank you, Emily. So I just want to thank everybody for showing up today because it's important. I think every one of our voices are very important. And I did have a question. I wondered how many people were being paid to be here. Raise your hand if you're being paid to be here today. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. So I jotted some notes on the back of a piece of paper this morning. Just going to kind of keep it a little simple. I've noticed that out of 1,300 comments on the PUC website, there was only 20-something that were in favor of this corridor. Wilton recently 162-1 against the corridor, and a lot of towns have followed suit with similar numbers. Farmington, like 260 to 100 last week. Every poll I've seen, the people have spoken strongly against this corridor. You know, if I had to make a guess, I would say that 75% of the people in the state of Maine are against this corridor, and up in my neck of the woods, which is western Maine, it's probably more like 90% of the people are against this corridor. It's a little unfortunate, I think, that the focus has shifted from what's good for the environment to this whole, you know, pro-corridor, not against the corridor. We've had some people make allegations against us, folks, this grassroots group and others who are against this corridor, that we are funded by dark money in favor of big oil and in favor of pollution. And I can tell you, nothing could be further than the truth. We are environmentalists and sportsmen and sportswomen, all of us. This is important to us for that reason. So the fact that this is a very bad deal for Maine is secondary to the environmental piece. We are grassroots. I can say without a doubt that we want less pollution, less carbon, and a future that keeps Maine positioned for the benefits of ecotourism, guiding, hunting, fishing, the great views from the mountaintops. That's what I'm thinking about. Somewhere my grandson's running around here, and in 100 years I want him to be able to go to the top of Coburn Mountain and not see the inevitable development that will follow this corridor into that region. Mm-hmm. I also like to add that this project doesn't make a lot of sense. I in fact believe it's based on the false premise that it will reduce global greenhouse gas emissions. I don't think it will. If you look at the whole package, you know, I'm not a scientist. I haven't got a team of 8 working on that around the clock. But even if it can be somewhat neutral, this is a bad deal for Maine for the reasons I just talked about. The iconic Maine brand is mountains, rivers, lakes, great views, an ocean. The Department of Tourism talks about these things. People come to Maine from miles and miles away, hundreds of miles away, to enjoy those things. They're valuable now. They're going to be a lot more valuable in 50 or 100 years. These are important things, and this is why I think this group of people is here today. You can ask yourself who you trust. CMP and their billing issues and their rhetoric on this particular corridor issue, or the people here, none of whom are being paid. We're all here today taking part of our Saturday because we're passionate about this.
Your neighbors.
They're our neighbors. So last week there was a town vote in Farmington, and I was a little irritated because what I heard was that we were funded by dark money. Now, I met a few times in Farmington, and I've had people hand me 20s, 40s, 100s, and that paid for some things, paid for some rhetoric, paid for some time. We've sent some money to Sandy Howard and her No NECEC site to fund some of the inevitable legal fees that are going to come as we fight this. But ironically, I wrote this on a piece of paper that came from my friend Ham Robbins, who sent me $40 cash because I went out of my way to drop him a t-shirt last week. And I took that $40 cash, 60 of my own cash, 100 that my wife gave me, and we sent it in to Sandy for the fight. So a lot of people around Farmington have given me $5, $10, $20, $25, $40. A couple people have given me $100. And that's the dark money you're talking about. It's coming from a lot of people. We're not paid to do this. We're passionate about this, and we think we're doing the right thing. So thank you for being here today, and no corridor.
Thank you.
Mr. Costa Buck, my friend Tom.
Thanks, Carol. So, Yogi Berra said, some of you knew who Yogi was, some of you may not know who Yogi was, but he was a great catcher for the New York Yankees, and he was famous for his Yogiisms. He used to say things like, when you get to the Y in the road, take it. One of his famous ones was, it's not over until it's over. So this morning there was some news that said that the PU staff had said go forward, yet the PUC is yet to vote. And as Carol well said, I think 99.9% of the comments that are made on the PUC proceedings has basically said we're against this project. I hope PUC listens to that. But there's more going on that you all can be involved in. You know about the DEP hearings that are going to be in Farmington next week? Go out, participate, voice your opinion. Stay with what information you have. Don't simply say I'm against the Corps, but say I'm against the Corps because, whether it's the visual impact, whether it's the turnpike that's being going to be built out there, or as I like to describe it as a forester, the 2,000-acre clear cut that will never grow back because it will be treated with herbicides to keep it down. So it will never be there. The scar will last for 40 years. And I'm not a wildlife expert, but I suspect that there will be wildlife that does not cross that line because it's too wide and too long. Maybe the cars from New Jersey will cross. The second thing is that I'm very proud of my colleagues in the legislature. Some of you know that yesterday, I believe Mark Lawrence, a Democrat, held a news conference with 17 bipartisan legislators. To me, I got a smile out of it because there was Shenna Bellows, who sometimes is on the left-hand side of the rainbow, and Paul Davis, a Republican senator who's on the right side of the rainbow. They were there together against this particular. I think the sentiment is people in the communities have found out the half-truths that Central Maine Power carried out there last year, and I personally did not get involved in this until last April, because I was in the legislature and I had other battles to fight. And I listened to their speeches about what they're going to do to protect the environment, but I began to look at what was offered in New Hampshire and Vermont. And when I came and asked them, hey, why you weren't offering a similar package, the answer was, well, we're not doing anything for you. Good. So I started the process of going out and meeting with the towns, because at that time I was the state senator. And I went to all 6 towns that run through Franklin County, because that's my jurisdiction. All of those towns, except for Sharon, had come out and supported the line. So far, Wilton, 162 to 1. And by the way, the one vote was to remove support but to stay neutral. County commissioners, 3 to 0. They're staying neutral because they do have some towns that are in favor of this, which I give them great credit for, because they were misquoted by CMP in a number of flyers they dropped out. Now, where that money came from, I have no idea. They did 2 mailings into Farmington. And by the way, make it very clear, I am not being paid either. This is on my own nickel. I've been fighting this battle since last April. And what I'm glad about is that the momentum is built. So instead of maybe 1 or 2 voices like Sandy and myself, it's now got significant amount of people that are taking steps. Back to Mark Lawrence and those guys, there are bills in the legislature. Pay attention to them. It can have a dramatic effect on what this power is. And Darryl had his little piece of paper. I have my brown napkin that I recycled. So as those hearings come up on those bills, mark them on your calendar. If you have time, come down and participate. As we come around home rule, that I think will be very significant and have a dramatic impact. So I'll close it with my Revolutionary War hero, John Paul Jones. John Paul Jones says, we've yet begun to fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom, very much. Thank you, Daryl. I do want to let everybody know, as far as the upcoming events, there is a schedule of events right there on the table for people who would like to attend the hearing. And I would also like to invite anybody else who would like to voice as to why they oppose the corridor to come up and speak.
I do have one thing to add that I forgot. I find it very disturbing when the environmental organization, Conservation Law Foundation, made a very, very strong statement in New Hampshire that they did not want to call tolls and ruin the environment. But yet in Maine, they are now in favor of it because we got electric cars. That's very disturbing. Be consistent in your decision.
Well, I remember, this is bringing up a memory of the East-West Highway that they tried to do some years ago, and as I recall, it was probably like a global corporation that wanted to do a petro line underneath a highway from Canada to, you know, and just cut right through all this natural wilderness. And like the gentleman said before, that our greatest perhaps resource is our wilderness. And so why should we be cutting through the wilderness for another big money thing that's kind of corporate? So I really thank you guys for putting this on today, and I think Mainers are going to get behind it, and they're going to probably definitely stop it. So I think I thank everybody for being
Yes,
here.
thank you.
I'd just add to that, you know, with this corridor, the thing that scares me the most is if that burned the rest of the forest down after they cut some of it down. We can't afford to lose any more of our beautiful forest here. So thank you guys.
Well said.
Yeah, well said. I'd like to say something real quick. Hi, everybody. My name is Megan Canlis. I am a welder at Bath Iron Works, and I just wanted to say that I've talked to a lot of Mainers about this project, and I believe that one of the main things that people are angry about and upset about is we don't trust CMP. I heard John Carroll at the Wisconsin Town meeting saying that they were going to monitor this project electron to electron. My question is, how are they going to do that when they can't even keep track of our monthly bills? CMP states that Mainers aren't going to fund this project, that Massachusetts is going to foot the bill. But I'm asking everybody, how are we not financing this when our bills are double, triple what they were? How are we not financing this? With no accountability, no explanation. How are we not financing this project?
It's a good question, Megan, and I think it's up to CMP to let us know that. However, I think it's very clear that Mainer's best interests aren't really what's at the core of this project.
Right.
Let's not forget the deal that they offered us for $250 million. I forgot this. If you put it in perspective and don't discount it, which I believe Natural Resources Council in Maine did, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt of $258 million, $258 million. It's worth 38 cents per Mainer per year for 40 years. At the same time, Central Maine Power will make $5 million per month per year for 40 years. And Hydro Quebec will make over $10 billion over a 20-year period of time.
It's crumbs.
So we are not getting anything. The deal's terrible. You know, I give credit to my friends that tried to negotiate it, but I think they had more room to negotiate and should have gone for it, but they didn't do it. And the last thing I do add, somebody said it to me this morning, I often talk about this as the extension cord from Canada to Massachusetts, and that we need to stop being a colony in 1820 to Massachusetts. But now, as someone said to me this morning, we're actually a colony to Spain.
Ooh, Central Spain Tower.
Remember the Maine.
Why
didn't New Hampshire, why didn't they do the power line?
Same reason we don't want to.
They looked at the environmental impacts, and even though they were offered $700 million in economic benefits, they still turned it down.
The thing I'd add is that what we currently have in the northwest woods here, where we're talking about cutting the swath, is precious to so many of us. And there is no, as far as I'm concerned, no amount of money that can compensate us for this, and can compensate my kids and future generations for this. And the state of Maine, where we lose so much. There is not enough to compensate. I mean, when you can't go there anymore and see what you see now, experience what you do now, use what you do now for your recreation.
Things live there
It's
too.
too much, way too much for us to pay for the privilege.
Even if they offered us $100 off of our monthly bill, you're like, okay, so you're just bringing it down to what it was before?
So in 100 years, when future generations look back at this point in time, you think they're going to be proud that we ruined this precious space that's going to be increasingly more valuable over time? or are they going to be proud if we can somehow galvanize the people and stop this from happening?
Mm-hmm.
You need
No-
to take,
no
you
going
need
back.
to take the long
There's
view
no
on
going
this.
back.
No going back.
We only need one. We only need one. So even if the PUC said they haven't even voted yet, but I don't want it to discourage people from keeping effort. We only need one to shut it down. So
John Paul Jones.
Yeah, I have a question.
not over.
When with the voting for it, how many members of the committee and how many more people need to vote on this to approve the corridor?
There's only one real vote between now and then. I guess the PUC, there's 3 people that will vote on that. It's the 3 PUC commissioners. I don't think anybody really votes on DEP. They decide whether to issue the license or not. I don't believe this will go to the Board of Environmental Protection for licensing. It may, because of the way we restructured the DEP. And then LERC, I don't believe there's a vote on LERC. I think they look and see whether it meets the zoning changes and issues the zoning. A big vote may come someday when we do a people's initiative. That's the long one.
Talk to your legislators and ask them to have it come to a public vote. That might be our last resort.
And that was the part I forgot. If you know your legislator, if you don't, this is a great time to get to know
Get to know them.
and really talk to them about it, because I believe the sentiment in there is against it. And Mark Lawrence, I mean, I'm really proud of Mark because he stepped up, and all those 17 people that stood there stepped up. That's pretty impressive.
For those of us who cared enough to be here today, we're the ones who have to be that strength to write those letters, to contact people, to get our friends and family to do it.
Correct.
Come to the hearing.
I can tell you as a former legislator, nothing's more powerful than hearing from your constituent in their own words. Whether it's an email, whether it's a letter, whether it's a phone call. Don't use gang emails, because we just throw them away. No offense. And do it to your legislator. If you do it to and I was a senator, and you're from Wisconsin, you send me an email. Thanks, but I really don't care. Sorry, I'm not the governor.
It's like when I emailed Janet Mills and I just got a drafted
Gang email.
But email your representative. Get in touch with them. Put it in your own words. Let them know. That's very, very powerful, and they will listen to you.
Anybody else?
So if you don't have a t-shirt yet, I brought a bunch of t-shirts. If you want to make a donation to Emily, we're supporting, the inevitable legal fund that's going to cost us a few dollars to battle. But I've got all sizes in that bag. There's some sizes up there. Take stickers. I brought them along. There's a few of these. What do you call them?
Said I'm going to put mine on my four-wheeler and drive it through the forks. Thanks again for organizing.
Thanks for
Yeah,
doing that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Our hero. Okay, awesome. So what's up with the buying little chances?
All right, we're going to sign off for now, guys. Thank you for tuning in.